Hello, welcome to Salesforce Minds. So in today's video, we'll be learning about DataRaptor and specifically about DataRaptor Extract. So what's the purpose of DataRaptor Extract? So DataRaptor Extract is used to retrieve any data from Salesforce database. So for example, if you have an account object or an order object or a contact object and you need to retrieve data from the object, the fields and attributes, you can use a DataRaptor extract to do that. It basically builds a SOQL query in similar way how we use it in Apex, and uh, it helps us fetch all the data which we need to process on in our future steps in OmniStudio components. So the output formats are JSON, XML, and custom structure, which we will see into it. So let's dive into it directly. So go to your org, which you requested earlier. Uh, I hope you all did. So go to App Launcher and open Velocity Digital Studios. Now from the drop down, select OmniStudio DataRaptors. Now once this page is loaded, you will be able to see some existing DataRaptors which is already part of the package, but you need to see a new button. You need to click on the new button to create a new DataRaptor. Click on the new button. You will be redirected to a new custom tab. Name something like fetch quote details. In this example, I'll be taking an example of quote object. That's why, and you can see that interface type is extract in this case. Now we have few more: double extract, load, transform, which we will talk about in our upcoming videos. Now, the input type is JSON, but you can also feed XML and custom as well. But JSON is most widely used across all the project formats and real-time scenarios. Even for the output type, JSON structure is more preferable, but you can see XML and custom are also an option. So we will choose input and output type as JSON for now. You can provide a description as well uh, to fetch code details. I'll just give it a sample description. It's considered as a best practice, and you can click on save button. So once you hit the save button, this component will be created and you will be able to land on a page, a new screen where you can configure your data raptor. Now in the very first tab called extract, you have to click on the button add extract steps. So once you click on it, you will be able to select an object from which you need to extract your data. In this example, since I am using quote, I'll be taking quote. Extract output path is something, an alias of the object you want to give. Anything you can give. In this case, I am giving quote, or you can let's take a different name, saying QT. So it represent quote alias name, and I want to filter it with ID of the quote. So I'll be the filter as quote ID. So I'll be passing quote ID. Now I will show you how this filter will be used in our in some few next steps. But moving forward, let's go to the output tabs and click on the plus button to add the fields which we need to extract from this object. So let's say I want to give that quote name, and let's say qt colon you need to use and name. Now here in the extract JSON path, you will always see that there is a list. If I just remove it, you will be able to see it will guide you which all fields are present on it. So I already know that name is a field which is present on code. So I have directly retrieved it. And the output path is something which you need to give as a name value pair. So the name, you can see that it will be configured here. So in the output you will be able to see the name, and whatever is the name of the code, it will be populated here. Few more fields we'll talk about is output data type. Now if you, by default, it's smart enough to recognize it's a text, it's a number, or it's a date. But if you need to specify and specifically provide a data type, you can do that. So you can put choose as string, number, object, multi-select, list of string, JSON structure, and whatever. You can explore this part. And if you have any doubts, please post it in the comments. I'll explain it to you. Now let's say that the name is a field which is mandatory on code. We know that it will be definitely present, but let's say you are trying to extract a field which doesn't have a value, then you can specify a default value in that case, so that whenever this value is null, you will be able to pick the value from default value. uh, yeah, so it will be more like a hard coding thing. And by clicking on the button disable is disable, you can deactivate this step, but we don't need to do that, so we'll be using it. Now go to the preview to run it and type the filter value which we have provided here. It should be same. And if you go to preview and pass a quote ID, any quote ID in your org, you will be able to see that we have successfully retrieved the name of that quote. Now on the right hand side, if you notice in the debug logs, we have built a similar query, select id comma name from quote where id equal to this. This is a sockle query which builds internally through it. So how did it come here? So again, from the extract tab, quote is the object, quote id is the binding parameter, which is this id. So this is the quote id which we are passing, and that's how we got this data into the preview tab in the as a response of this DataRaptor extract. Now going back, and let's explore a little bit more on quote line items. So I also want to retrieve the quote line items of this specific quote. Let's give it a alias of QLI and quote ID by this quote ID. Now I know I need to use this. So to do that, I need to pass the quote ID whichever the quote we are receiving here to the quote line items. So what I'll do is I'll use the alias and followed by a colon and ID. Now by doing this, what I am doing is I am extracting on the quote line item from the quote which is extracted on the step 1. Now in the output tab, if I go, let's see an example of IDs or related queries as well. So we already know that quote line items are child of quote. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll say product name. Let's give it a heading as well that they are quote line items. Line item. If you do that, what happens? It creates a structure like this as an output. Now I want to query it from QLI colon product2.id. Now product2.id is just the ID which is a lookup to product2, but I want a name, so I'll give dot name. So this becomes a related query. We will see how it works. And if I go to preview and click on execute button, you can see right now in the response tab we have a list of line items which were part or which were associated to this particular code. And on the right hand side you can see there are two different queries. So first query is on the quote where quote id is xyz, and on for the second query you can see it's on quote line item where quote id is also the same. In this use case you can see that you have found two results, that's why it's displayed as an list of JSON. So that's all for today's video. I hope it's all clear. If you have any doubts, please ask in the comment section. And in the upcoming videos, we will see more use case on DataRaptor load. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and thank you.